Hello and welcome to this week's BlastOne Primed Insights. Today we're going to be talking about selecting the right grade of abrasive so that you're more effective on your blasting job. You see, we get calls from customers. Customers tell us, sometimes they say, look, we're using too much paint just to cover up the profile we're creating when we blast. Other times they'll tell us they can't clean out the rust pits fast enough on, for example, the top of a floating roof tank. So here's a couple of tips that can help. The grade of abrasive you really want to use is the finest abrasive particle size that's going to give you the surface profile that you require. Now, there's a reason for that. The thing is that the finer the abrasive, the more hits you get on your surface, because there's more grains of abrasive in a fine abrasive mix than with a coarse abrasive. So because you're getting more hits, you get a more consistent profile and you get a faster blasting speed. Because the more hits you get, the faster the operator can actually move his blast nozzle. And the other thing is that with the fine abrasive, you can actually wind in your metering valve, that's your grit valve or your abrasive valve, you can wind that right in and use less. So between the combination of those two, an increased blasting speed and using less abrasive, you're going to make more money. On top of that, you don't have to refill your blast pot so often. So we want to use the finest abrasive size we can to get a nice consistent profile, the right profile for the coating to go on. You don't have to use up too much paint just to fill up the profile, and also scours out the rust pits. Those fine grains get in and scours those rust pits out. Whereas a big abrasive grain tries to get in there and bashes those pits out, but doesn't actually get all the pockets of the pit. A fine abrasive grain will get in there and scour it out much faster. So an abrasive that's fine as possible to get the right profile is the one you want to select for the job. So when it comes to removing a coating, there's a rule of thumb that says use the same abrasive grain size as the coating is thick. So let me explain what that means. If you're removing a coating, let's say 500 microns or 20 mils thick, use an abrasive grain that's about 0.5 millimeter in diameter, or take that to even thicker coating. A coating that's 1,000 microns thick, use an abrasive that's 1 millimeter in diameter. Now, the reason for that is because those big particles will help knock the coating off the steel. Now, the problem is when you've got really thick coatings, say 2,000 microns or 80 mils, to go to a big abrasive grain, we use too much abrasive. So when you have really thick coatings, so it's 2,000 microns or 80 mils thick, there's something you can do to help speed it up. Because typically if you use the one size abrasive, it's very slow to wear off. You can use a large size abrasive to knock that coating off quickly, and then come back with a fine abrasive to clean the surface up. You can even get that in a blend of abrasive sizes. So you've got, in the one blend, you've got large abrasive grains and small abrasive grains. The big particles knock the coating off. The small grains get through and clean up the coating that's still on the steel and clean out the rust pits. Now, when you've got really, really thick abrasives like an ultra high build, a non-skid on a deck, there's other technologies available. You can use ultra high pressure water jetting to remove the thick coating and then come back and blast after that. You can use automated blast machines. You can use chippers to try and chip off the heavy coating. There's a lot of different things you can do to get those thick coatings off. The point is, when it comes to the right profile for the surface, use the finest abrasive you can. That's going to give you the consistent profile for the next coating to go on. Hope you enjoyed the BlastOne Primed Insights. See you again.